Genius for life. Coconut smoothies coming at you. Hello there. Welcome to 15 Minutes of Genius. This is episode 15. I am Alex Baer, the CEO and founder of Genius Juice. All the logos you see around here, there's probably 4 of them. There's 5 of them. Genius Overload here. So, our guest, this guy is amazing. He had a prior career in politics, went from politics to CPG, right? You can see the connection there, right? It's a logical connection. And before rolling into that, I want to give a big plug for my man, Mark Nicholas, Manhattan Beach Studios. That's where we're at right here. This guy is amazing, is awesome. Boom. Backdrop, logo. He set all this up. I just show up and start talking, but it's a great setup, so I love it. So ManhattanBeachStudios.net, Mark Ann at ManhattanBeachStudios.net. All right, so let's roll right into it here. My guest, Jason Narancich. He is with Logistics Dynamics LLC, commonly called LDI. Quick blurb on him. Out of college, Jason was a lobbyist in Chicago for the cable television industry for almost 7 years before meeting his wife Tracy and moving to Southern California. For the past 15 years, he's been helping brands with cold chain distribution and warehousing needs. They have 2 kids, and they recently moved from Southern California to Franklin, Tennessee. I think that might be a swing state. No, it's a red state. All right, and a little bit about LDI. Logistics Dynamics LLC was formed in 2003 in Buffalo, New York, transportation broker focusing on the food and beverage industry. We partner up with brands to transport the raw materials, production, runs, and finished goods into places like Publix, Kroger's, Unifi, Costco, and many more depots across the U.S. and Canada. Jason, how you doing, my friend?
Hello, Alex. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Man, it's interesting timing right now. We're taping this during the 3rd debate in election season, but man, I think I'm enjoying this a lot more.
I appreciate you pulling me away from the circus, number one. And number 2, thank you for having me. It's truly an honor. I've seen some of the previous tapings, and it's awesome. I'm glad to be a part of it. And more importantly, this might be a first. It's the first time my name is going to be associated, and probably the last, with the name Genius in the same sentence. So totally appreciate it, and I'm excited to be here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad to up your reputation as much as I can. That's why we're doing this right here. We're preserving your legendary status, and we're also going to blow you out on LinkedIn, man. Like, we're going to make you a celebrity on LinkedIn. That's my goal here. So
Cool.
Logistics, right? And I keep on using the words, let's roll right into it, roll this, roll that. Now that actually has a pun for this subject. So, but before going into trucking, logistics, freight, all the things that we need to have in our daily lives, politics, lobbyists, cable television, I mean, I think you definitely have a personality. You're easy to talk to, fun to talk to. But man, tell us about your history with lobbying and politics. It's a timely subject for what's going on right now in this country.
I would say that it was probably the most fun time I had. I was 20 to 27. I was single at the time with a unlimited budget as far as an expense report. And I got to learn a lot of not just the backside of politics, but also how to interact with people. We had a great time at the time that I was there. AT&T had this thing called Uverse, which no one ever heard of, and we had represented the cable television group against AT&T. But I had met my wife, and up until that point, 2 things I sure was never going to do was move to California, because I'm a Chicago guy by 30 some years. And I had told my wife when I met her, why don't you move to Chicago? She came out, we took a Cubs game in, it was the spring, had a great time. And then October hit, and she said, wow, this place is really cold. Now, mind you, if you're from Chicago, October, you're still wearing shorts and a t-shirt. If you're from California, you have a parka on. So I quickly realized that Chicago probably wasn't going to be our home at the time. Moved to Southern California without a job, left my career in lobbying, thinking I was going to be a lobbyist in California. Had an interview with Disney, got up to like the 3rd level of this interview, and Disney said, well, who do you know? And I said, my wife, a couple of people I've met. But as far as the legislators are concerned, I don't know anybody. So at that point, I quickly realized I probably had to change my thought process and really look for something else that I wanted to commit to for the rest of whatever I'm going to be on this earth. And a friend of mine had called me out of Chicago and said, "Hey, there's a trucking company that's hiring, and I think you'd be pretty good at it." And I thought, I went to college. I was just a lobbyist, which people think is, oh, wow. And then you go from that to telling people you're in logistics, and it's a total conversation killer, right? You're at a party and someone says, "What do you do for a living?" You say logistics, and they look at you like, "Oh, so you drive a truck?"
Yeah.
No, but I could if I needed to. So it was really, the transition was kind of unique. You don't often see this, but again, I think in the long run, hindsight 2020, it helped me a lot in what I do now, and taking some of the traits that I had to learn as far as being in front of people, explaining my position, and not just really talking about one thing that would benefit them, but a slew of things that would help and help a brand. So Monday morning quarterback, it was a great call for not only my future and my family's future.
Yeah. And I mean, it's really cool how we arrive at where we are at the end of this path, right? And on this journey we call life, where you learn things, you pick up things along the way, and you don't realize it at that time that everything, all these skill sets you're picking up. In your case, working in politics, being part of the cable television industry, it's really about communicating with people, being crystal clear, being likable, having a great personality, and listening. And you took all those skill sets and then brought it into your career now in logistics. So it's interesting how all these past experiences really added to, what you're doing now. Let's go into LDI, or Logistics Dynamics LLC, or Inc., right? So tell us more about, again, logistics is boring, right? We both acknowledge that, but necessary.
Right.
So, but if there's one person that can make logistics sound exciting, it's probably you. So let's hear about your company, LDI, what you guys do, and how you can help brands. And maybe for anyone listening, right, or watching on LinkedIn,
Sure.
how can you really add value to their day-to-day operations?
Well, I'll tell you something with LDI, because the in our industry, and you having your own brand, you know this as well as anyone else. You'll get thousands of people calling you, sometimes almost weekly, but really, realistically, every day you're going to wake up and there's going to be people that have a logistics company or work for a logistics company, and they're going to call you and really give you a quick pitch, which is typically, "Hi, my name is so and so, and I want to save you money." And for someone who's new to this business, that's really all they've been taught, which is sad because there's so much more to logistics and helping brands get their product, whether it's from production site with drop trailers to their warehouse, or from their warehouse to the end users, like your Wegmans, your Publix, your Cahey's, knowing which carriers to use in each one of those. Because those depots, as you well know, if you use the wrong carrier, they're maybe not accept the freight, they'll ding you, you'll get chargebacks. So there's a lot to learn, and a lot to have really give somebody in our industry. And being on our side of the fence as a logistics company, and the word's so cliche, but it's true, is you really want to be a partner. And I put some of this on the responsibility of the brand too. And I've told people this: the minute you give us, or anyone you're using, the feeling that they're part of your brand, you'll get 110% more of them. Because if you think about it, I'm walking through the aisle, and my kids always laugh at me. If we're walking through the beverage aisle, let's say, and I see some beverages, or my kids now know, like, "Dad, there's your company." I mean, they must think I'm loaded because they'll see different companies all throughout the store and go, "Oh my God, that's my dad's company."
Right.
It's not. But when the brands make you feel part of that, you're going to really get 110% out of everyone, because there's some passion behind it. They're part of the team, right? So we help brands, whether it's production runs, whether it's, they first start out, whether it's like, let's say, an LTL shipment. As a brand grows, the cool thing I've been able to do in 15 years is take a brand from conception, right? And I'm sitting in a boardroom and I'm sitting with these investors, and the guy's like, he's a friend of mine. He says, "Hey, I want you to sit here, and just in case anything logistically comes up, it probably won't, but you can meet people and talk to them." It's been really cool to watch the ideas on paper come to fruition on the shelves. How much stress is involved, how much money's involved, how much time, how much energy, how many people actually takes to get a bottle of Genius juice on the shelves at Whole Foods, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for us, having the ability to really work with people, bring in not just, okay, well, I can save you money on the front end of, let's say, a shipment that you've got going to Wegmans, but let's look at it holistically. Not only just save you money, but what's the end? What's the game here? What are we trying to do? And of course, it's get the product to the shelf on time. Um, but sometimes we've been able to focus and talk to people and say, look, we're shipping on a Monday and Tuesday. When in fact, if we ship on a Thursday, Friday, consolidate more of your freight, you could almost, now you're starting to build your truckloads that were just LTL. Now you're starting to actually take your own freight and build truckloads out of it, which essentially is going to save you money and also save you time, because you're avoiding this LTL big behemoth of an animal that takes your freight from SoCal to Maine, let's say. And along that way, they're going to stop 8 or 9 times.
Mm-hmm.
As a truckload, you're going to stop once or twice. So, for us, we're not a cookie cutter company. I think that's important too. A lot of folks, you ask them a question, they'll tell you what you want to hear, or they'll say, "Wow, sorry, we can't do that." As long as it's ethical and legal, and we think we can do it, we'll try.
Yeah, and I think,
So really, on our end of it is
yeah, and I
think
think
outside
one,
of the box. Everyone's
exactly.
different.
Yeah, and like, one thing that you really hit on there, Jason, was really about truckload versus LTL. And I'm going to harp on this for, again, anyone watching, that to have someone who knows what they're doing, right? Like hiring Jason, LDI, where they can build your truckloads. So if you have 4 different cities you're going to, if you do an LTL, 1 pallet per city, it's going to cost $500, $600, $700. But if you build that truckload and you're able to consolidate freight with partners, whatever money that you're paying a company to do that, right? Like a broker, like LDI and a partner, they're going to actually save you money in the long run. One other thing I want to also really say is, when I first met you, when you were still in Southern California, you drove. I remember I got a call from, I get freight calls every single, like maybe almost every day, right? We can save you money. There's like Coyote Logistics, all these guys that just, call me sometimes twice a day. But once they say no, or like, I'm not interested, they just give up and hang up. When you reached out to us, now this was through a connection. First off, someone recommended you to me. You actually drove out an hour, I think over an hour to get to me. And then on top of that, where you met me was 5 minutes away from my house, and I was the one that was late, which is ironic. I was like 10 minutes late. You were 10 minutes early. I could roll out of bed and literally walk there in like 5 minutes, and you drove an hour through traffic. But the main thing, that my point is that in something that could be considered a commodity, right, like logistics, people buy from people that they like, right? And I've always just loved that about you. You have a great like personality, but also, entertaining and all that, but very authentic and genuine. And you really come across like you want to help people, help them save money, and be a true partner, right? Not just a logistics errand boy, but literally a partner to help the company long term with growth, streamlining operations, and saving money. So that's what I've
Yeah.
always admired about you. So I think we've lasted through the end of the debate, which is good. We're I think that we're at the end of the debate now. Just for anyone that's watching, we're filming this literally right during the 3rd debate. But I'm glad that we're here together and talking about this and helping entrepreneurs. A much better way to spend our time. So if there's anything
Agree.
else, just in our last little topic here, let's spend about a minute, just really rapid fire. It's called the Words of Genius. You already said so
Mm-hmm.
many things already, but if you had to kind of consolidate it, right, pun intended, to 1 minute, what is one thing in logistics freight that entrepreneurs should look out for, to avoiding pitfalls? What do you think in a minute or so? Just what do you think is a great thing just to look out for when you're building your freight and running logistics in your company?
I can't stress this enough. My biggest thing I would tell a brand owner, a board member, anyone involved in transportation is, you guys spend so much time and energy, and again, money, to get the product to the shelf. Don't skimp out and don't look at the shortfall of, oh, I can save $5 on a shipment going to Chicago this week, and I'm going to broker it out to a guy I don't know or a girl. Really vet people, talk to them, give people a fair chance to say, ask them questions. And if their first question to you is, well, what are you paying for that run? Um, ask them questions about themselves a little bit, but about the industry. Throw curveballs at them. Throw questions that you guys are struggling with. Give them a lane that's really tough, right? Say, hey, I've got one pal that ships 35 degrees from Southern California to Idaho. What can you do for me? But vet those people, because when you really talk to somebody who knows what they're doing, you'll know within seconds, right? It's like buying anything. It's like going to buy a car. You'll know the people that know what they're talking about or the people that are just there for the paycheck. Once you find that person, whether it's a he or she, whatever company it's with, stick with them, believe in them. Right now, we're seeing that on the spot market, freight rates have gone through the roof. They're up 28.8% from last September,
Wow.
which is outrageous. And people go, "Oh my God, Jason, why is this happening?" And there's a combination, and there's about three or four things, but the underlying thing is we don't have enough drivers in the United States, right? Who raises our kid to go, "Hey, Johnny, I can't wait to graduate high school to become a truck driver." And it's sad because people look at them. It's like a stigma in our culture still, like, "Oh, you're a truck driver." But what we found in this year, especially in particular, what we're going through as a nation, it's an essential job.
Hmm.
We need them. A truck driver, if they're not there, I don't exist. My company doesn't exist. Your company doesn't exist. So my biggest thing is vet the people who you're going to use, who you do use, and make them your partner. You'll get so much more out of them, and it's going to not only benefit yourself but your brand as well.
Love it. Very, very well said. Those are words of genius, straight out of Tennessee, 9:30 at night. And this guy's brain is still working as sharp as if it was the middle of the day. Very impressed. All right, so Jason, thank you so much for joining us, episode 15, 15 Minutes of Genius. Really appreciate your time. Be well, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about freight lanes next week. So thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for having me. And like I said, thank you again for everything, and you have a good night. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right. So that's episode 15 of 15 Minutes with Genius in the books. That is Jason Narancich. And by the way, in the comments box below, we're going to have his information, his email, website. So if you want to just consolidate freight and have a true partner in logistics, he's your man. One more big plug for the other man, Mark Nicholas, Manhattanbeachstudios.net. Website is below. You can go there for all your editing, video, audio, photography desires. And we're actually using his services next week. We're doing a photo shoot, if I say the SH word, photo shoot right here in his studio. We can edit that out, right, Mark? Probably not. Okay, so thank you again. Episode 15, 15 Minutes of Genius. And one more thing, stay genius, my friends.
Genius for life. Coconut smoothies coming at you.